So welcome back to my channel. I've decided to do a little bit of a video on some of the devices that I've purchased over the last couple of weeks for a project I'm going to be doing pretty soon. So what you can see here is a little Sonoff device, and this is the ZBMINIR2, I believe. And what this is a Zigbee based device, and this has a requirement for neutral connections as well as your live in and live out, and it can switch to independent sources. So we'll come on to what that will be in a little while. Just put that over to the side just now, but focus on this fantastic merger of two products. So if we just unscrew this, tip it over, what you'll see in here is the Everything Presence 1. And this is created by a fellow Scotsman. And this is basically a combination sensor. So you've got a millimeter wave sensor at the top here. You've got a motion sensor here. And on the board, there's additional sensors for things like temperature, humidity, and light levels, for example. And this case has been designed by an individual in the UK who has built a case for this device on its own, so it can be mounted in a standard way. But this case that he's designed is actually for ceiling mounts. So you can basically mount this up into the ceiling. It's got these expandable wings here that come out to the sides, and that locks onto your plasterboard here in the UK. That's standard, or gyprock, or sheetrock as you call it in the United States. But basically that goes, drill a hole for this mount, push it up into the ceiling, slide these out, and that locks it into place. Alternatively, you can put some adhesive round the rim here and squeeze it up into your ceiling. It's got a little hole here or a hole here to allow you to plug into the USB-C connector to power the unit. So the person themselves have created this lovely little case, for example, and you basically just put that over there, rotate it round, and it locks in place, and that's what you would see on your ceiling facing down like this. So what does this sensor actually allow you to do? It gives you a comprehensive set of sensing capabilities, but the ones that I'm interested in for my use case is the motion sensor here and the millimeter wave sensor that's behind here. So this is going to go into my, first of all, this is going to be a test case for my downstairs water closet or downstairs toilet. And at the moment, we have found in the house that you go into the toilet and you forget to turn the light off, or you don't put the fan on, for example, after you use the toilet. So with a combination of this unit and the one I showed at the start of the video, this unit, this one is going to go into the ceiling in the bathroom. And then this little device will go behind the light switch outside the bathroom. And we have two switched operations within that bathroom. One will be the light switch going into S1, and the other one is the fan. So the fan is just an on-off. It doesn't have a timer function, the fan. It just comes on and it goes off. So each of those ports, switched ports on this device, will basically allow the lights to come on and off automatically, and the same for the fan, but controlled by this device. So rather than a person having to put the switch on and the switch off at the wall, and perhaps forgetting to do that to turn the light off, this will sit behind the light switch. This will communicate to my Zigbee environment, and that will then connect to this device here through Home Assistant to control certain automations. And the automation will be something along the lines of, for two different parts of the functionality. One will be for turning the light on and keeping it on, and then turning it off after a certain time, after a certain amount of time has passed, when no presence has been detected in the room. So the first part of the automation will be the trigger, will be when the motion sensor here detects motion, i.e. the door opening, something like that. It will then ping the light on, and then there'll be basically an action activity and a wait timer that will wait until there is no presence detected in the room for a period of time, perhaps 3 to 5 minutes, something along those lines. And once that presence is no longer detected by the combination of these two sensing devices, it will then tell this device here to switch the light off. So completely hands-free to go in and out of the toilet and do your stuff in the toilet. So the second automation will be linked to the fan. Now, if you're going into the toilet and you're doing, you're doing the two parts of your journey in the toilet, let's call it number one and number two. So number one, you're going into the toilet. You might only be in there for a couple of minutes, for example. That will just turn the lights on, but it won't turn the fan on. If, however, you've been in there for more than 3 minutes, as an example, it will then turn the fan on, and it will be linked to the same automation and waiting time that says once there is no motion or no presence detected in the room for a period of time, it will then turn the fan off and the light off as well. So it will either be one of those two scenarios, and I will deal with those in two different automations as required. So, very useful bit of kit. I'll link to this creator's 3D printing in the description of the video. This was purchased from Etsy in the UK, and I believe he will be adding another device in future for the Everything Presence Lite, which is basically the same sensor that Lewis has created behind here, but without the the motion sensor, which will basically just be just a millimeter wave sensor without this device in the center here. So it'll be another mount that could be potentially coming to the market. But this one, I paid about just under £20 for this, and I'm really impressed with the quality. It's a very nice finish. It's white, so blends into ceiling backgrounds, etc. And it just looks like potentially like a smoke alarm, so it won't look out of place in your ceiling. So I'll be doing a follow-up video on this process of wiring this into the light switch and also installing this up in the ceiling space. Now, this cannot be powered, this type of sensor cannot be powered by battery. It has to be plugged in permanently, so you can see the USB-C connector in there. So after a period of time, I'm going to install a cable in here, which will come up into a fused socket in a room above, and will be plugged in there permanently to provide power to this at all times. It requires minimum power draw to run, and it doesn't have any lights on it that you can see or disrupt within your room. So it looks really, really neat and clean. As you can see, that's pretty much all you'll see coming out the ceiling, and this flange that hides any unsightlies from when you drill your hole to put this through. So really, really good, guys. As I said, I'll link the description and the product, and you can have a look at it for yourself. The gentleman that did it here in the UK is very, very good. He communicates very well. I really like him. I bought this with my own money. Not paid to say anything nice about it, but it's an absolutely fantastic piece of kit. I love it. I'll be buying more of these for other rooms in my house as required. I'll probably be doing this for 2 of these in the lounge, 1 in the kitchen, in the hallway, upstairs, etc. Most rooms will probably get this eventually, as and when I can afford to do that, because these sensors, for example, the ones that are the Everything Presence 1 devices are, you know, £60 or so for those units, and then obviously the cost for these mounts, so you know, you could say £80 per room. So if you've got 5, 6, 7, 8 rooms to do, that's a fair amount of money. So you just have to work through your use cases and define where you really need to have them. And I've chosen to do it, as I said, in my downstairs toilet. And that'll get the best benefit for the people who live in the house and also guests that come to use the toilet as required. I'm actually going to cover up the original light switches, so the light switches will disappear. There'll be a cover plate over the top of that, so this will be a fully automated solution, not requiring any human interaction or input to do that other than opening the door and going into the room. So really good products between something that a fellow Scotsman has built. Really pleased that he's able to contribute to the community. Go and watch his videos. I'll link to his site in my description. Fantastic guy, as I said. And then these guys, Sonoff. I use Sonoff and Akara in my smart home. Wouldn't hesitate in buying these products. They're rock solid and they do a really good job. So watch out for the video, the next video when I come around to doing that. I'll try and do it on a table with my gimbal mount so that you can see what I'm doing. I'm doing this all on my own. I'm not doing it with an electrician, but I'm fairly handy and I've done this in a few other rooms, so you can watch along. If you don't feel comfortable doing it yourself, then, you know, hire a contractor or an electrical contractor or an electrician in the UK, and these guys can come in and wire these in. Luckily, in my light switches, I've got a neutral, I've got live in and out as required, and I've got the switch connections that I need, so I can do all of this quite comfortably myself. So join me in that one, guys. Watch out for the video. Will be coming in a couple of weeks or so, when I've got some time to do that, but hopefully you can follow along. I'll link to these products in the description if you want to buy them yourself, and then watch out for the video when it comes online so that you can see how I actually go ahead and do this process. So thanks very much for joining me in the video, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.